All right. So if you are Matt LaFleur, you're Adam Stenovich, or Luke Buckus, you're looking at the teams we're going to be facing two times each in the division, and you're going to be facing packages like Aleem McNeil and Aiden Hutchinson of the Detroit Lions, or Montez Sweat of the Chicago Bears, or Jonathan Greenard of the Minnesota Vikings. And you're looking at our protection to Jordan Love, and you've got a good problem, and you're facing a crazy dilemma in Green Bay at the moment. And you've got, and don't hear me wrong when I say that Jenkins, if he happens to hold out, oh, who cares? Because we've got such a great potential breakout player at our center in Jacob Monk, a rookie last year, who could be rising up the depth chart and could be that sneaky guy. I'm not saying that because Jenkins is certainly a Pro Bowl caliber type um, offensive line, and you need him in Green Bay to be protecting Jordan Love and all of that, opening up the holes for Josh Jacobs and Marshawn Lloyd, hopefully all of that. Okay, so but this is a crazy dilemma when you start looking at the fact that, okay, so Jenkins is holding out, he's wanting more money. And then you've got the next guy up in Jacob Monk, and he's looking at the situation, kind of licking his chops, saying, okay, let's do this, man. If I'm going to be in here, I'm going to make the most of it. And I'm going to get everybody's attention, especially the coaching staff, all that stuff. Okay. So Matt LaFleur says right here that Jacob Monk, they're like, he's done a nice job. I can tell you, he's a lot more comfortable and confident in terms of going out there and knowing what to do from last year. For him, it's just coming down with those live reps. That's what he's got to get used to. And then last year, Adam Stenovich said, I really like him about Jacob Monks and in his play. He plays with a lot of effort, plays with a lot of intensity, finishes his blocks. And this was after the first preseason game against the Cleveland Browns. And he said his technique stuff, he needs to maybe clean up a little bit. And that's what he's worked on this last off season, that most young guys have to do. But from what I've seen out of him in this first game, I really am excited about watching him. Yes, we're talking about Jacob Monk, and you take a look at his RAS coming out of college, out of Duke. He scored a 9.71 as a center out of 10. That's really, really freaking good. Okay, so you've got a piece in Jacob Monk, and this is a great problem if you are the Green Bay Packers, and this is a dilemma that you're like, okay, we've got, if anything happens to Jenkins, God forbid, you've got a guy like Jacob Monk stepping in there, and it might be able to pick up the pieces quicker than, a lot of people are thinking, if anything happens to him, or even if he continues to hold out in all of those types of scenarios. And then you're looking down the offensive lineman too, and you've got a guy, a piece that you invested a first round draft pick in Jordan Morgan out of Arizona. And you're looking at a guy that scored a 9.25 out of 10. Crazy athleticism. Okay. We already know that. Is he more suited better as a left tackle, or could you use him as guard? You can kind of, I mean, the point of drafting him when we did was you can utilize him across the board when we were looking at the depth chart. So when you're looking at the depth chart of the Green Bay Packers offensive line right now, you've got Rasheed Walker starting left tackle. I really like Rasheed Walker. I know he's going to be coming up on a contract year where it's like, okay, do we pay this dude, or do we have somebody in Anthony Belton? Anthony Belton is this tackle out of NC State who scored an 8.14 out of 10. He's got some crazy athleticism to himself as well. So you're looking at the depth chart, and you've got a nice piece in Anthony Belton. And depending on how he does in training camp and how he looks and how he performs in preseason, this could be a dilemma that the Green Bay Packers are looking at and being like, okay, we've got some crazy depth here, okay, which is a great problem to have for any team. If you've got young talent that is rising to the occasion, that's pushing each other to get better, and then you go out and sign a free agent in Aaron Banks. Okay, the dude's got some size; he can open up some holes. That's, I mean, man, if you're Josh Jacobs, you're looking at like, okay, I'm going to be running behind Aaron Banks, and I'm going to be pushing up his butt. Like, we're just going to be gaining some yards here. We know that yak yards for Josh Jacobs. There wasn't a better running back in the league last year. Him and Saquon Barkley. So you look at center. Now you're moving Jenkins from right guard to, or I'm sorry, left guard to center. and then you've got Jacob Monk there as a stud backup, somebody that's been performing well, practicing well, putting in the hard work, looking every bit the part of like, okay, we feel confident and comfortable to throw this guy in there. And if Jenkins continues to hold out, you've got a piece in Jacob Monk that the Packers really like. Okay. Then you've got Sean Ryan and Jordan Morgan battling it out for right guard. And, who knows what's going to happen there. But again, we've got some crazy talent when you look across the board at what Jordan Morgan can do and what he can bring to the offensive line, supposedly from what we hear and what we see at a practice. And then you've got one of the best offensive linemen in the league at right tackle. You've got Zach Tom. Okay. The Packers have some depth there. Then you got little pieces out there like Travis Glover and Kadeem Tolford. I really like the size of Kadeem Tolford. That dude is just an animal. He's huge. Okay. And then if you're Matt LaFleur, you're looking at our offensive line now that's going to be better than it was last year. And you add pieces like Savion Williams or Matthew Golden, who can run crazy fast. And you want to get that guy out in open space. So you want to get him the ball. So you need some protection up front. And then you got a guy like Savion Williams or even Jaden Reed, that they're these Swiss Army knife type offensive, weapons to have that you can use in a jet motion. You can utilize him and just a quick screen. Like you can do so much with these guys. And Savion Williams, if he ends up being the guy that everybody thinks he could potentially be, the Green Bay Packers just hit the absolute jackpot in this year's draft. And I'm super pumped up and excited about it. When you look at just us adding the offensive weapons in Matthew Golden and Savion Williams, I'm super excited. And you take a look at Anthony Belton and just like he's got a pretty good score as a outside tackle, left tackle. And this is going to be a guy that's going to help push um Rasheed Walker to get better and to look better out there. This is a great problem to have. Again, when you are facing what you're going to be facing in the NFC North in Aiden Hutchinson, Ali McNeil, Jonathan Greenard, Montez Sweat. Okay, that's just looking at the division, and then you're looking outside of the division, and you're going to be facing guys like Watt and all of those types of caliber defensive just monsters out there. And when you got an offensive line, and if they start clicking and they start playing well together, the Green Bay Packers are going to be set up pretty nice heading into this season. And what a problem to have if you are Adam Stenavich and Luke Butkus and you're trying to drop some stuff and you're Matt LaFleur and you've got the protection that you've got up front. I'm pumped up about it. I think Jacob Monk could be that breakout type player. Leave your comments. Let me know your thoughts. And as always, go Pack Go.